Are you worried at all about how you're performing in relation to your peers at the moment? I mean, do you feel your performance is reflective of what you're doing?
No. Short answer is no. It's interesting. So everyone I think got hit during the COVID pandemic. Not unusual. And then we obviously kind of came back with everybody. But I think in the past couple months, for starters, we did the Pan American secondary. So Pan American had 5-year warrants that were issued basically upon inception of Maverix, and they expired next year. And we had some investor interest, and we basically convinced Pan American to basically sell their warrants off, or exercise their warrants and sell the shares, I guess, technically. And what happened there is basically that was a pretty large chunk of our market cap. And so basically you had some entrants kind of come in and out of the stock there, and it churned a little while. And as soon as that deal was closed, you had basically a month there, I'd say, where it was sort of seesawing up and down. And it was only recently, actually, where we started to reestablish that momentum that we had before, where I think the shares are now flushed out. I was actually buying some shares a couple weeks ago. So, we are fully confident that the business is going to do really well. And I think there is a huge disconnect in our share price in particular versus some of our peers. But, more specifically, we can see that our business is doing really well, and it is clearly worth more than it was before the pandemic. So, especially on the development part of our portfolio, where we've got 92 things that aren't in production for us. So, we see a lot of those things moving forward, and I think our shares are a lot more valuable now than they were back then. I think people will recognize that at some point, but it's our job to put that in front of people and to make sure people do recognize that value.
Can I just ask you a question, if I may, about some of the new entrants coming into the space? We've seen a lot of sort of small private companies coming in, a lot of small royalty companies listing, etc. They're hoping to work their way up that food chain, as you guys have done. But is there a kind of shortcut to this process? Is there roll-ups or acquisitions that can be made?
Well, you're right. We definitely have seen a lot of new entrants come into the space on the smaller end. And I think in the short term, I don't see much in the way of consolidation within the space, royalty space. But I think over the long term, I think that is likely. I think there is a certain amount of scale that is required in the business. And frankly, given the multiple differential between some of the smaller guys and the larger guys, there certainly is an arbitrage there to be had. So I think that'll certainly happen in the future. From a Maverix perspective, there are a lot of deals to be had now, so we don't see that at the minute. But from a Maverix perspective, we're happy to be the acquirer or be acquired. I think we'll do whatever is good for our shareholders. And so if we see an opportunity that's worthwhile to do, we'll do it. And if we're the opportunity, then that's fine too. As long as we can get the value to our shareholders, that's the only thing we're focused on.
Is there a kind of cycle to it? Because the big guys kind of like to take the little guys out because they become a pain in the side, right?
The history has shown that the larger guys do actually go after the smaller guys. And typically it is in an environment where there are fewer individual royalties and streams to be done. And so we certainly are likely to see that happen again. And, given where Maverix is and if our valuation stays where it is, we could be at risk from that standpoint.
Okay. Does the M&A component slow things down for you? I mean, does it affect your business model when all of this is going on in the market?
Well, certainly from a equity perspective, in terms of the amounts that are able to be raised now, that does dampen the ability to, basically get new royalties and things on new projects and so forth, just given that it's another source of capital that's competition. So that is fine. The M&A side's interesting. It actually works on both sides because with more deals comes potential for more financing needs as well. And so, we are part of that capital solution. And, from our standpoint, we're more than happy to participate in M&A if we can help out someone acquire something, or if we have a royalty on something that someone's looking to acquire.